Good evening, everyone. My name is Benjamin, and welcome to today's video where I'm going to talk a little bit about Florida. And the question is Florida a red state now? And I think it may be a touch too soon to declare it a red state, but I certainly think that it's going to be very difficult moving forward for the Democratic Party to carry this state. Florida GOP is probably one of the most competent state level parties in terms of galvanizing voters and getting out the vote in the country. And I think part of the reason why they've been so good recently is they've hired the right people, I suppose, in campaigning. Um, they've got Marco Rubio, who is a popular senator, definitely within the state and certainly within the Miami-Dade area, which has the most votes in Florida for a county and definitely for a metro area. But Florida definitely has a few other important factors. For example, the I-4 corridor from Tampa towards Orlando. You've got Duval County, Jacksonville. But really, Florida becoming red is going to be a story of Miami-Dade. And by the way, if Republicans can somehow manage to win Miami-Dade, Florida absolutely will be a lost cause for the Democratic Party. And if they can't continue to nominate more centrist candidates like a Joe Biden, and I say that not necessarily tongue in cheek. To be fair, Joe Biden does represent the right wing of the Democratic Party nowadays. Maybe not as close to the Republican Party as, say, a Joe Manchin is, but Biden is certainly on the right side. When I say the right, I mean the economic right and the cultural right of the Democratic Party. But that wing of the party it's dying. It's I don't think it's coming back anytime soon. And the Republicans managed to do extremely well in Florida, calling Biden a socialist. So imagine if the Democratic Party actually nominated a socialist or even just a progressive. It won't end well. And that's on top of the fact that every single year the Republicans seem to find more and more voters to sign up. And quite frankly, it is kind of impressive to see how well the Florida GOP has done at winning what used to be considered one of the biggest battlegrounds in the nation. And they've basically turned it into a red state. I mean, Michael Bloomberg spent $100 million there to see it turn into a red state. And I definitely think moving forward, Florida is going to be harder for the Democrats to win. And it had always been slightly red, ever so slightly red. But it was, you know, very purple. It was not a Republican state. It wasn't a Democratic state. It was the definition of a swing state. It was close enough to the way the nation voted that it would flip to whichever party won the White House. And now it seems very likely that its days as a swing state are numbered, maybe even over. And I really could say the same thing about Ohio and Iowa, but the debate really is over in those states. And the truth is, it's probably getting to the point where Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin also are not really blue states anymore. And this may be, I mean, all three voted more Republican than the nation as a whole, and they voted more Republican than the nation and they've actually moved even more towards the Republican side. And you can say, but Biden won those states. Well, compared to the national popular vote, all three states were more Republican than they were in 2016. As in, they voted further to the right in 2020 than they did, compared to the nation, than they did in 2016. So, the best way to describe that is if the popular vote were 50-50, all three of those states would have voted more in favor of Trump than they did in 2016. Basically, Biden only just won those states. Actually, Michigan actually did shift back towards the Democratic Party. My mistake. But Pennsylvania and Wisconsin, yeah, they voted for Biden, but they didn't move nearly as far towards the Democratic Party as the nation did. There's some other weird trends that I'll talk about at some point whenever final states certify their results. But basically, there were some states that trended in a certain direction that were a little bit surprising, some that I personally expected, and there were a few that continued to demonstrate that, yes, those trends actually were real. Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Iowa, and Ohio, for example. Texas continued to shift towards the Democratic Party, but it wasn't really the massive 4-point shift that people are going to try and convince you it was. Because looking at a shift like that without putting into context of what the national margin was, it isn't going to be useful. Trump won by about 6 in Texas, which is, it's narrowing. It's much narrower than Trump's nearly 10-point win in 2016. But Clinton won by about 3 in 2016, whereas Biden's going to win by about 5% in this year. So Texas stayed in that 8 to 10, maybe 11 or 13% range of how much more Republican than the nation it is. But I think that's enough for today. Remember, always put each state's swing into context, and the numbers will make a lot more sense. Anyway, I want everyone to take it easy. Hope you all enjoyed. See you next time. Have a nice day. Likes, comments, subscriptions always do help, and I greatly appreciate them. And thanks to Will for being a patron. Have a nice day.